Hi, I'm Architect Pia Uy. I'm a licensed architect from Bicol. In this video, I want to walk you through how we designed Studio Apa. Studio Apa is a cafe and a photography studio here in Legazpi, owned by a young couple with a big vision. They wanted a space for coffee, art, photography, and a community. The challenge was the budget. They wanted to keep the cafe fit out below 500,000 pesos. For a cafe, that is a very tight budget. That's why every design decision had to be careful. The wall finishes, the ceiling details, lighting, furniture, and even the smallest details had to make sense. The question was simple. How do you design a cafe that feels warm, intentional, and timeless without forcing the owners to spend beyond what is realistic for them? That became the heart of our design process for Studio Apa. Keep watching because I'll show you how we approach the design process, where we had to be strategic, and why cafe spaces can quietly become expensive if you are not careful. The budget was not just the limitation. It became the starting point of the design. Since the clients wanted to stay below 500,000 pesos, we could not design freely and adjust later. That approach can lead to overspending during construction. So from the beginning, we had to ask practical questions. Which part of the cafe needs the most visual impact? Which materials can create warmth without becoming too expensive? Which details can be simplified? Which areas can stay clean and quiet? A limited budget does not mean the space should look cheap. It just means that the design must be sharper. Every peso had to serve the space. What made this project meaningful is the purpose behind it. The clients wanted Studio Apa to become more than just a cafe. They wanted a place where people could gather, create, take photos, enjoy coffee, and feel part of a creative community. That vision helped guide the design. Studio Apa has also a huge photography studio on the second floor. The studio has a mid-century modern theme, so the cafe needed to feel connected to the same identity. We wanted the cafe to feel warm, creative, grounded, and a little nostalgic. Not something that's too trendy, not trying too hard, just a thoughtful space that supports the story behind the building. Cafe design can easily fall into the trap of chasing design trends. A loud wall, a viral corner, a trendy color, a design detail that looks good online but gets old too fast. For Studio Apa, we wanted the space to last longer than a trend. So we focused on atmosphere. The real question was not, what design trend should we follow? The better question was, how should people feel when they enter the cafe? We wanted the cafe to feel calm and easy to stay in. A space for quiet mornings, a space for conversations, a space for creatives who need somewhere inspiring but not overwhelming. That feeling does not come from one decorative feature. It comes from the balance of layout, materials, lighting, color, and design restraint. Most people will not walk into a cafe and talk about ceiling height, or not even lighting temperature, circulation, or proportions. Normal people do not say, "Wow, excellent ang spatial planning." Architects or interior designers lang ang medyo OA dyan minsan. But people feel the result of those decisions. They notice when the space feels comfortable. They sense when the lighting is too harsh. They see and feel when the tables are too close together. They know when the room makes them feel they want to stay. This is why hospitality design is not only about making a space look beautiful. It also has to support real behavior. Because guests need to sit, to order, to wait, to talk, take photos, and move around comfortably. The staff also needs a layout that helps them work smoothly during busy hours. When these details are not planned well, people may not know exactly what's the problem. They just feel that something is off. The biggest challenge in Studio Apa was the size of the space compared to the budget. A big cafe sounds exciting, but it can become so expensive too. More floor area means more lighting, more walls to treat, more ceiling to finish, more furniture to provide, more corners that can look empty if not handled well. This is where many cafe fit-outs go over budget. The owners may not plan to overspend, but the space simply asks for something more. For Studio Apa, we had to choose the design moments carefully. Some areas needed stronger visual impact, some areas needed stronger visual attention, and some areas needed to stay simple. Because not every wall needed a feature, not every corner needed a decor, not every ceiling needed a drama. That restraint helped keep the design calm and realistic. For the material palette, we wanted warmth and texture. The mid-century modern direction gave us a clear starting point. Warm wood tones, but we refrained from incorporating too many wood accents because the owners did not want too many woods on the design. We added clean lines, soft lighting, natural textures, a lime wash finish, simple shapes, and nothing that's too flashy. The cafe needed enough character to feel creative, but not so much visual noise that it competes with the art and photography identity of Studio Apa. A creative space need not to be always loud. Sometimes it just needs to be calm. It needs room for people to think, talk, work, and create. For this project, restraint became part of the design language. We were not trying to make the cafe look expensive for the sake of making it look expensive. We only wanted it to feel thoughtful, clear, warm, and inviting. A cafe is not just a beautiful room. It is a working space. People come in, order, wait, choose a seat, take photos, meet friends, work, or stay alone in a quiet corner. The design has to support all of that. For Studio Apa, we studied how people would move and behave in the space. Where would guests naturally look first? Where would they pause? Saan sila madalas tatambay? Which seats would feel more private? Which areas would be better for groups? Where could people take photos without blocking the flow? How could the staff move without feeling cramped? These questions are not glamorous, but they make the space work. A cafe can look beautiful in a 3D render and still feel awkward in real life. So the goal was not just to create a photogenic space. The goal was to create a cafe that works during the quiet mornings, busy hours, creative gatherings, and ordinary afternoons. For Studio Apa, we did not want the design to depend only on dramatic moments. We wanted emotional consistency. The space should feel calm in the morning, comfortable during long conversations, warm during creative gatherings, and grounded after a very stressful day. People experience cafes through small details. The chairs they sit on, the light on the table, the distance from other guests, the sound of the room, the texture of the materials, and that feeling of not being rushed. And when these details work together, people may not always describe the design, but the experience. They might simply say, ang sarap dito, parang ang calm. Gusto kong tumambay dito lagi. Parang may soul yung space. For me, that is one of the best compliments a space can receive. That means the design is doing its job. Studio Apa reminded me that meaningful design is not always about having a huge budget. It is about understanding the client's vision and helping them make clear decisions. This project was challenging because the cafe space was big in relation to the budget, but the vision of the owners were so strong, we wanted to help them. A young couple who wanted to build a creative community here in Bicol through coffee, art, and photography. As architects, our role was to help shape the dream into a space that feels warm, intentional, and realistic. The goal was not for people to walk in and say, ang mahal tingnan. A better compliment would be, ang sarap lang dito. Parang gusto kong tumambay ng matagal dito. That feeling is not accidental. It comes from careful planning, smart budgeting, and design decisions with care. If you enjoy the behind-the-scenes breakdown of this project, like this video and subscribe to this channel. I share honest lessons about architecture, design, construction, budget, and building here in the Philippines. You can also follow me, subscribe for more real project stories from the perspective of a Filipino architect. See you in my next video.